Here, what sealed the deal for you to stay with Team Trudeau?
I mean, I think there were two things. There were extensive conversations I had with the Prime Minister where he committed to me that tackling anti-Semitism would become a top government priority and that I would play a leadership role in that along with himself and Deborah Lyons, who's our special envoy. And that really, we talked about the demonstrations that are intimidating Jews outside of Jewish community centers and Jewish businesses and Jewish schools and synagogues. We talked about what's happening on campus where Jewish students are intimidated and in fear all over this country. And we talked about the implementation of the IRA definition. We talked about how we can make things different, education, etc. And the fact that I will now be involved in that and join with him and Deborah in playing a leadership role and trying to solve some of these issues, trying to make things better for the community that right now feels very, very scared and very, very frightened. That's what sealed the deal. We can't wait 18 months till a new election to deal with anti-Semitism, and I can make something concrete happen now. And that's really what the biggest issue was. The second was, of course, not seating the center in the Liberal Caucus and making sure that centrist voices like mine, who believe in a pro-Western foreign policy, who believe that autocratic states like Iran and their terrorist proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, should be isolated, not treated on an equivalence with Israel. That I can't let those voices go away in the Liberal Party. I can't let the Liberals become an NDP light. I need to bring this party to the center and make sure that center left and center right Canadians feel represented there.
I'm curious. I've followed your career for a long, long time, as you know. How seriously were you actually considering crossing the floor, Anthony, possibly joining the Conservatives?
I was really considering all options. I really was. I wanted to understand whether my voice and the views of people that think like me still had a place in the Liberal Party after what happened and that motion. And I've talked to a lot of colleagues from across the country, and I've been encouraged by Canadians who've reached out to me in the thousands from across the country who, like me, are Liberals who were unsure whether they should keep supporting the party because they think it is tilted too far to the left. And to a man, to a woman, they were encouraging me to stay and fight and to make their voices heard in the party. And that really also caused me to reflect on what would happen if voices like mine just left. I mean, I really think that there has to be a party in Canada that stands up to the provinces when they invoke the notwithstanding clause preemptively, stands up loudly for minority rights, and is fiscally prudent and pro-business and for all of these things, unabashedly pro-Canadian. And I want to make that voice, be clear in the party. And I think being there is probably the best way to do it.
You know there are going to be people who will be disappointed and angry over your decision.
On both sides, whatever decision I made, I was going to really disappoint people because over the last 2 weeks, everybody wanted me. I was very popular. Once you make a decision and you choose one side over the other, even though I wish politics, which is so gray, it's not black and white, but so many people see it black and white that you think you're on this team or this team. I know that I'm going to disappoint people, and I'm sorry to all those who I've disappointed. I really struggled with this decision. Like I know many thousands and probably millions of Canadians are struggling with this decision as to what party best shares their values. And I can only say I made the best decision possible for me. And I think the constituency I represent, which was very divided in the reaction to me, most of the Jewish community wanted me to cross to the Conservatives. Most of the non-Jews who responded did not want me to cross to the Conservatives. And I have to take everybody's views into consideration. I was elected as a Liberal MP. And if I'm going to cross the floor mid-mandate, I really needed to see that my constituents who I represent, the seat is not mine, it's all of theirs, also were pretty emphatically on one side in agreement.
You mentioned you were very popular over the last couple of weeks. Can you tell us anything of, the Conservative strategies trying to woo you, win you over?
I would only say that I have a lot of friends in both parties. I don't see things as a black and white. I don't see one party evil, one party good. And I've had meaningful conversations with lots of my colleagues, both Liberals and Conservatives, over the last couple of weeks. I have deep friendships on both sides of the aisle, and I appreciate them.
One last question. You got about 30 seconds, but how do you reconcile that vote last month in which, most of your party supported it and it went against your beliefs? And, you are a leader in Montreal's Jewish community.
Hopefully in Canada's. And I think it was a very deep wound to Canada's Jewish community. And I will explain that and keep explaining that to my colleagues. It was not a good vote. It was not for me the right decision. And I will keep speaking out that against decisions made by my own party if I disagree with them. I'm not just a sheep that follows. I'm somebody that has very strong views, and I will represent my constituents, and I will represent Jewish Canadians across the country and tell my party why I think they went wrong on this.
Anthony Housefather is still a Liberal MP representing, riding in Montreal, Mount Royal. Always good to see you, Anthony. Thanks for taking time for Power Play today.
Thank you.